Welcome back to Lessons with Kobe. Today, we will be learning the term belt to ass in sign language. First, we're going to break it down. Stay with me. Belt to ass. One more time. Belt to ass. Together now. Belt to ass. And that concludes my lesson. See you next season.
He made it big time, Willie! 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 He gone! Willie!
Man, hey, write a check your ass in cash, man. That's all I can say.
I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around, and I think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. I don't That's all right. The clouds hang low. I can hardly see the road. I ask the question, Lord. Lord, why so much pain? But He knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see. So I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. That's been so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world I could ever be. He's been so good. But He knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see. So I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. That's been so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Tonight I hope y'all can hear me. I have my mic on here. My voice is gone, y'all. All that hooping and hollering and voice gone. Voice gone. I wanted to play that song because dang, if you guys just reminisce on 24 months, reminisce on all the stuff that we went through. Oh, yes. I'm so glad that all of you guys are here on time. The Mr. Fords, the Oranges, the Uncle Willies. Because I'm not going to talk for very long. I'm just going to do a couple of administrative things, and I'm going to drop that link so quick because I don't have enough voice. They knew I was getting ready to be petty today. So the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to congratulate and also acknowledge the Jackson State City Council for approving $150,000 to Jackson State. So let's do this administrative. Yes, Miss Behold the Green and Gold is in here. Hey, Miss Wins. Hey. She said it's a new era in Norfolk. You're going to have to tell me how to pronounce Norfolk. Somebody said it was Norfolk. I've been saying Norfolk for the longest. Ain't nobody ever corrected me. But I was told it's Norfolk. So y'all let me know. So the Jackson City Council approved sending $150,000 to Jackson State University. This is to help with expenses incurred after the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship game. The JSU men's football team played against Southern University on December 7th at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium in Jackson. Of course, we defeated the Southern Jaguars 41-13 to take home the SWAC championship. Last Thursday, council members approved an appropriation of $150,000 to send to JSU to help with the cost of hosting the championship game. The council approved the appropriation in a 4-1-1 vote. So I'm guessing that's 4 yes, 1 no. And is the other vote mean I don't care either way? Ward 2 Councilman Tina Clay, Ward 4 Councilman Brian Griswold, Ward 5 Councilman Vernon Hartley, and Ward 6 Councilman Aaron Banks voted to approve. Ward 1 Councilman Ashby Foote voted against. Ward 7 Councilman and Council Vice President Virgie Lindsay abstained from the vote, and Ward 3 Councilman Kenneth Stokes was not in attendance. Kenneth, where was you at? Why was you not here? So how exactly the money will be spent remains to be seen. They did not, Jackson State did not respond to a request for a comment. The $150,000 will be taken from the city's Grand Gulf Fund, which has a current balance of $850,000. According to the Jackson Chief Financial Officer, Fidelis Malembeka, he explained that what the funds are for. Basically, this is connected to Entergy, the nuclear plant that they built in Port Gibson. There's always a concern about the safety of the environment and community. So at times they'll make concessions and say, look, we'll compensate these folks that have been impacted by this. So there was legislation that was passed that allows for, in lieu of taxes, those communities to receive a certain dollar amount. City of Jackson receives about $1.5 million per year. And the last couple of years, we've been able to use it to fund and do some more projects. So, Norfolk. All right, Norfolk. What I will say is congratulations to Jackson State, right? Let me make this a little smaller. I don't know about pronouncing it Norfolk, but anyway, congratulations to Jackson State. The impact that Jackson State has on the Jackson and the surrounding communities during these home games is a lot. So it's great to see the city councilman giving back to Jackson State. I'm sure that they will offset the cost of security and other measures. I don't know. I thought that the SWAC office took care of those types of things like the security and stuff, but maybe not. Nonetheless, kudos to the Jackson State City Council for doing that. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is this Celebration Bowl viewership. And of course, whenever the people come up on the panel, I definitely want to hear their thoughts. Because this is pretty good, right? Like, I know there was a conversation that was had about the playoffs and how much viewership they get versus the Celebration Bowl. And I'm going to tell you right now, once again, this game is definitely one of the premier bowl games. And even though we talk about the attendance, it actually is premier in attendance as well. And I don't think a lot of people understand that it's actually pretty big. Pretty big for the bowl games. There was another bowl game that was this weekend, and I want to say the amount was like 12,000. So keep your head on the swivel. At this point, when you're comparing, we compare our bowl numbers versus other people's bowl numbers from this year, not comparing bowl numbers from year to year against each other. We're not in competition of each other yearly. We're in competition of the other bowl games and what their viewership is and what their attendance is. So this is a article by Kyle T. Mosley. 2024 Celebration Bowl viewership soars while attendance declines. It says the 2024 Cricket Celebration Bowl reached 2.1 million, peaking at 2.6 million during the event. ABC increased by 37% compared to last year's game. Now, I did want to make something noticeable for the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and I think for the Celebration Bowl as well. Norfolk, I got it. It's Norfolk. Thank you so much, SWAC fan. And that is that some of those games, like I think the MEAC SWAC Challenge, when it had lower viewership, is because ESPN was in negotiations or on the outs with some of the providers during that time. And so that would account for the lower viewership. Now, as far as the Celebration Bowl this year, I felt like it was going to be a big game because the line started out at Jackson State favored by 3. And then it switched to South Carolina State being favored by 3, depending on which betting site. But if you guys know about sports betting, moving the line even half a point is a lot of money. So there was a lot of money that was placed on this game. That means that there's a lot of people who don't normally watch HBCU football who were tuned in. And then once again, even with our game not being in that primetime slot, we still were able to get more views than, I want to say, Montana State. Whoever else played that day, we got more views than them. This is one of those things that you can use as a recruiting mechanism for athletes, letting them know 2.1 million people tuned in, and anybody can watch the Celebration Bowl, whether or not you have cable or not. And that's one thing that a lot of these other FCS teams cannot say the same about. They don't have that opportunity. Even on the FCS playoffs, you do not have the opportunity to be on an ABC. Tennessee State at Montana was on ESPN2 and had 263,000. They did have in the quarterfinals, Villanova at South Dakota State University had 1.85 million. But if you look at this from 2023, North Dakota State at South Dakota on ABC pulled in 1.09 million views, right? And last year's Howard versus FAMU pulled in 1.51 million. So it's great to see that even though there was some folks who were not able to attend the bowl game, they was watching, right? And when we talk about renewing of contracts or, increasing, yes, attendance, I don't think attendance matters as much as viewership, right? And the reason why I say that is because if you look at some of the other bowl games, let me see. I want to say, let's look up South Alabama attendance and viewership. They didn't even clear how many views we had or how many were actually there. They had the Veterans Bowl a couple of days ago, and I want to say they had less than 12,000 people there. So that's why it's kind of like, although it's lower than what our normal numbers are, there's a couple of factors you can look at. One of them being it was literally a 1 week turnaround. You literally had 1 week to book your hotel, book your flight. Not everybody wants to drive. It was literally that type of deal. And so when it's like that, everybody's not going to be able to show up. That's just, it is what it is. It was late in the game. I'm going to go ahead and drop my link. Viewership matters because of advertisers. Right. And we got 2.1 million. So when folks talk about, oh, y'all need to be in the playoffs. Why? Why? Oh, somebody effed around and found out. A lot of folks lost money going with South Carolina State. Boy, I think it was probably in the millions. Millions of dollars were lost going with South Carolina State. And I tried to tell y'all. I tried to tell Kobe. this ain't it. And for some reason, I don't know, like that got whooped so bad. It was almost embarrassing because everybody was hyping up South Carolina State. They didn't stand a chance. They did not stand a chance. All right. Of course, the biggest thing of the night is that we have a new head coach, the first of many to be named in the HBCU circles. That is none other than Mike Vick, named as the head coach of Norfolk State. Drink you some hot tea with ginger. I have these too. Damn. I hope Vick loses every game. That's not a way to welcome a football coach into the MEAC. Finally, you're here, Brother Bakari. And where is Mr. Fogg? And where's Orange? And where's Doc? I can't talk for too much longer, y'all. I gotta be quiet. Thank you, Mrs. Green. I will do that. Go ahead and say behold green and gold and then go to sleep. Braxton's not asleep. Uh-oh. All right. I want for everybody to oh Lord. They said he was cooning. Who was cooning? Who was cooning? He just doing his job. He just doing his job. Don't be like that. Do not be like that. All right. I want people to get on so we can do this SWOT analysis right here. Because I think that folks are looking for a Deion Sanders type of deal. Did y'all see Sacramento State coming out with that like last minute ditch effort to get him? Was that real? Well, Orangey, press the button. I seen you, Brother Bakari. We need to do a SWOT analysis. All right, for those of you who aren't familiar with the SWOT analysis, and some of you might be. So a SWOT analysis is we're going to look at Norfolk State strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Those are the 4 things that we're going to look at tonight when we basically talk about Mike Vick coming into the MEAC. I think that there are some really good strengths for him to come in here, especially in a MEAC conference that doesn't necessarily have a front runner. You had South Carolina State. They just got demolished by Jackson State so bad. They sent them pound puppies packing, okay? They're going to lose their quarterback, Eric Phoenix, and a couple of other key players to that roster. And hell, I feel like Coach Vick might be able to come in and take something real quick. Right? Let's look at the MEAC. Let's look at them real quick. Now, normally I don't do MEAC football, but covering the MEAC after the exit of the Celebration Bowl, and the implications, of course, for HBCU football. It's always a good thing to do, right? You want to be cognizant of what your other team has. I want to say that's why South Carolina State got their ass whooped, because they were not respectful of Jackson State's team. I feel like they overlooked them. I feel like they got caught up in the Jackson State's only SWAC good. They don't play anybody. We're the MEAC. We got more physicality. And Jackson State said, okay, so you're just going to ignore all of the FCS national stats. You're just going to ignore 11 all SWAC players. And we all know that 11 really didn't get everybody. There was a couple that were missing. Should have been probably about 14 to 15 players. But I understand the SWAC wanted to spread it around a little bit. All right. So their best team in the MEAC was South Carolina State. They were 9-3. North Carolina Central ended at 8-3. Morgan State is 6-6. So it's not that big of a jump, right? Delaware State is getting a new head coach. Howard is trying to find an offensive coordinator. South Carolina State has a first-year head coach. So the only coach that has been coaching there for a while is what? North Carolina Central and Howard's coach? Morgan State perpetually has not been a good football team that has had any winning seasons. They did finish at 500 this year. So they don't have that. Mike Vick needs what? A mobile quarterback. He's going to get all of that 757 talent. He can go to Philly. So, well, are you there? Let me see. Because you didn't show up. Try pressing that one. I mean, I feel like Norfolk State, if I am doing preseason, Mr. Haynes, I was definitely not. We talked about it a month ago, because I asked, does he even have a degree? I think Jerome came on here and said something about it. Hey, how you doing?
All right, what's going on, homegirl?
Nothing much. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, it's all good.
Tonight.
Y'all still
Go ahead.
I would say y'all still basking in glory. I don't blame y'all. Party like it's 1999. Salute and congratulations to the Jackson State Tigers.
Yeah, can you give us a little rundown on what you thought overall about that matchup, and what do you think about the future of SWAC football?
Okay, I was live probably about an hour before you, and I like to show highlights and I break down plays.
Oh yeah. I love when you break down the actual plays, because for me, you're basically calling out what type of play they're running, whether they're doing a go route. You also point out how the defense is lined up.
Yeah,
so I'm going to have to go back and watch that.
The first highlight I showed, it was Jackson State had the ball. The Jackson State left guard hit South Carolina State defensive tackle so hard. You can see it on the highlight. The defensive tackle was laid on his back doing a dying cockroach. That was first quarter. I said, now, they hitting this hard.
Wait. You talking about Kurt Ford?
It was either Ford or the other. It was either the guard or the tackle.
Mason Barton, 70 or 65.
He hit that man so hard, he laid him on his back. I say, there's no way you're a 300-pound defensive lineman and you get laid on your back in the first quarter like that. So the game started off like I thought it would be. They tried to figure each other out. But Coach Quinn adjusted way earlier than I thought he would. He didn't wait to halftime to adjust. Normally it's a halftime adjustment. It's like after South Carolina's first series, he adjusted and the game was over. Literally. When you only have through the third in the third quarter alone, South Carolina State halfway through the third quarter had -1 total yards. So they was going backwards so much, not only in the second half, but the first half, the referee saved them. That we can all agree the referee saved them. And so when you going up against a team as talented as Jackson State was, I put up their defensive numbers also for FCS. They're like number 2 and number 5 and number 7. They are like top 10 in a lot of categories that people do not understand how dominant Jackson State defense was all season long. And I think after that Alabama State game, they turned on that switch and it was over. But getting back to this game, what you had not only was complete dominance. I like to see Morgan, because a lot of people question his quarterback abilities of throwing the ball. Though I want people to go back. I showed us his touchdown passes, but go look at his highlights of him throwing those 2 touchdown passes. Perfect spirals, perfect ball placement, and an outstanding catch by the wide receivers. Even the deep ball that he threw, which I still think was a touchdown, that deep ball was just as damn good as anybody I've seen all year long. The one where the young man did it's an in and out route. He faked like he's going down the middle, then he goes back to the outside, and he
Isaiah
caught the ball.
Spencer.
Yes, Spencer. Yes, caught that ball on like perfect pass. So I'm glad that this quarterback from Jackson State. I'm not just mobile. I can be mobile, but if I get the right matchups one-on-one, and he threw some, he threaded the needle on a couple of them. He only had one bad pass, which if you look at the highlight, the interception, he was hit as he was throwing the ball. That's why the ball did not have enough air on it. If that ball had enough air on it, that probably was going to be another touchdown. So I'm happy for Morgan, the captain, the general, and he was able to show you, I can throw this football. Now, your running game, they keyed so much on Irv Mulligan, who they couldn't stop. You got to go back and look at it. It was a 3rd down, I think 4. It was 3 South Carolina.
I will say this. They did lessen his carry yardage, right? So usually
I got that.
Usually carries 5 to 7. I want to say they got it down to the 3-yard area, but like you said, they focused too much on him. And I remember saying, when I was talking with Kobe, I remember him saying, use the fake out, meaning put those 2 running backs out there and use Amari Matthews. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
They're going to be so focused and honed in on Irv Mulligan that they're going to miss out on
the bowling ball. Yeah, the bowling ball. But I want you to go back. It was a play. It was 3rd and 4. The speed that Irv Mulligan has, I think it's very underrated. You had 3 South Carolina defenders, the defensive end, a cornerback, and an outside linebacker. All 3 had angles on him. Not only was he able to get around those 3, but he ended up picking up the 1st down. And you got to look on the goal line. 1-on-1 in the hole. That's probably one of the hardest plays. When I say the hole, it's a defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and a running back. We used to call it Old Drill, Oklahoma. The defensive tackle runs into the offensive tackle. They clear each other out, and it's you and the linebacker 1-on-1. Go back and look how he did on that goal line to that outside linebacker. He not ran him over once, he ran him over twice to score a touchdown. So when you break down,
go ahead and finish your statement.
when you break down those plays of the execution, you have the strength. Jackson State, from I can say even 3 years ago, you can tell that these young men are in the weight room. You can tell that they have taken their physical side to another level, which is a damn good thing. The only concern that I have is next season, when Jackson State plays whoever, they are going to throw every single thing at Jackson State to defeat them. And it's going to be rough. It's hard to defeat. It's hard to go back to back. So when you whether it's Southern or that you playing or FAMU, the Southern and FAMU game, I'm looking ahead because those two games I'm definitely going to be there. So I'm looking to see this.
I'm gonna let Brother Bakari jump in real quick, and then I will go back to you in case you have something else you wanted to add. Brother Bakari, I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Orangey, which is basically just giving me an overall about the Jackson State dominance, what this means going forward, and then you had, of course, Orangey. He highlighted some of those big plays. That's Orangey Sports, of course, SWAC Sports. Excuse me. I'm gonna paste his YouTube in the chat. Make sure you go and follow him. He breaks down games and everything. We're gonna have to figure out how to get it so that they don't flag you when you do that. There is a way to do that, Orangey. So I'm gonna have to get with you, Brother Bakari.
What's going on, Timona?
Hey, how you doing?
Look, it was complete dominance in that. It was complete dominance in the game. Like I said before the game, Jackson State bigger, stronger, faster. I thought it would be a little closer. Not that I thought like South Carolina. I'm in the first half. Let me say that I said it was going to be close in the first half because I didn't think they were going to be worn down by the second quarter. But damn, they were worn down by the second quarter. I gave them the third quarter, midway third quarter before they be completely worn down. But I said Jackson State was going to win by a minimum of 17 points. Jackson State bigger, stronger, faster, which equal better. The quarterback comparisons. I'm not a big, I will say numbers at times, but I'm not a big numbers guy. I'm not a big stats guy when it comes to quarterback, because if you're in a certain system, you will have more touchdowns and you would have more passing yards because of the system that you was in. And if anybody remember me, I said it was a wash, but the quarterback position wasn't even a wash. Jacoby Morgan was just flat out better. He was just flat out better. I'm one of the ones from the beginning of the season who talked about how good the general was. I believe the general have a professional future. That's me. Our running game, Irv Mulligan remind me, I don't know if y'all remember the other Adrian Peterson, the ones that played with the Chicago Bears, who won the Walter Payton Award about 2 times when he was at Georgia Southern. That's who Irv Mulligan remind me of. And the guy had a good between 8 and 9 year NFL career with the Chicago Bears. That's who Irv Mulligan reminds me of. Our receivers were better. They talked about their speed on the outside. One thing me and Oren said we was on his panel, that we have to be physical with them. That little number 0, I think that his name Hughes or Hayes or something like that.
You're talking about South Carolina State. Caden High. He's a wide receiver. Yes. He's a sophomore, 5'11" and 176 pounds.
Yeah, McDaniel. They were on him. They were on him. They were physical, and people continue to talk about the drops. Because I listened to some of these MEAC channels too, and it's amazing how truly nobody want to give Jackson State their credit. I hear South Carolina is better than that. Yes, they are better than that against everybody except Jackson State. I don't know why people don't understand Jackson State was a legitimate top 10 FCS team. If you watch FCS football, like I said, I watch what I think we're in competition with. That's other FCS schools and that's those group of 6 schools. I watched what I think we're in competition with. Jackson State was a legit top 10 FCS school. We dominated them in every way. How many? They had 19 carries for 30 yards.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
uh,
Nine,
what they call it,
wait. 19 carries for what?
for 30 yards is what they had. 19 carries for 30 yards. Eric Phoenix, what was he? 14 out of 31 or 32 for like 141 yards. That's all garbage time yards,
Right.
as some
Half,
people
that's
call them.
second half, basically.
Fourth quarter, yep,
Mm-hmm.
empty calories, as some people would say when the game was over. They didn't just stop Mulligan, but they did slow Mulligan down. But as Oren was pointing to, they could not stop their little battering ram rehab, Matthews. They were so focused on Irv. They said, well, like Kobe said, they gonna force Jacobian to beat you. And I'm glad all that disrespect Jacobian has received all season. Like I said, I'm not a big numbers guy, but he did complete like 64% of his passes on the season.
I want to say in the actual, when it came to the championship game, I want to say he was probably, I'm going to pull up the final numbers, but it was somewhere upwards of 70%, almost 70% in the actual championship game.
Yeah, and like Jackson State is too deep. Was too deep for any. And I'll say it again. Even though they lost to Grambling, even though they slipped up and let Alabama A&M play them close, they were blowing them out. They got too relaxed, and they let Alabama State play them. But if you watch Jackson State play and you honest, and this is just not looking through blue and white glasses, Jackson State was 17 points better than every HBCU this year. And it's just that's a minimum of 17. And me saying 17, and that's not knocking saying they didn't have good teams. Jackson State team was just exceptional. What other team could have all backups at the receiver position and do what they did? Think about that. What other team, your interior lineman, Kirk Ford, I think that's his name, get hurt? What was that? The first quarter? Second quarter, he got hurt?
Yep.
And you bring
Mason
in
Barton is a true freshman. He's
and you
6'6",
bring in a true freshman. Yes.
6'6", 310 pounds.
Yep, you bring in a true freshman and he hold his own.
He rises to the occasion, which I think that's one of
Yes.
the things that some of the Jackson State players talked about at Radio Row on Friday. I know Evan Henry absolutely brought that up. He said there is no drop off. Whenever somebody is called up, they always rise to the occasion. Hence the reason why they talk about Amari Matthews or a Mason Barton. You know, they rise to the occasions. And Travis Terrell, you know, and we had only 11 all SWAC players, right? But there's at least, I would say, what you guys think, 15 or 16? There's some players that, like Jeremiah Williams, they did not get that all SWAC nod, but he came out showing you what he was about.
Yep. Jack, somebody put in his chat, said NFL scouts will tell you who's the best conference this draft. MEAC, South Carolina State. Okay, the NFL, it's okay if you feel that South Carolina State and the MEAC is the best, but South Carolina State played Jackson State. And you could tell which team was more talented. They had a good linebacker. He finished the game, what? 17 tackles. You can't take that from him. 12 solos. He had 12. What is his name? Number four. I can't think of his name. I think he wore number 41, number 11, something like that.
Wait, what are
But
you asking? Question?
no, I was just talking about the linebacker they had. But all in all, from top to bottom, Jackson State was just much better. HBCUs, and I see some doing some good recruiting. I ain't gonna lie, Alcorn is doing excellent recruiting over there. HBCUs is gonna have to catch up. TC and Coach O, they were the last two left in their room. in this culture that they have built. This culture that they have built, because this is their culture. This culture that they have built over there at Jackson State, I see a dynasty, but I also see another golden era for HBCUs. And I'm glad to see more HBCUs be good, but it's just going to be right now, right now, right now, barring injury, right now, I see Jackson State. I see Jackson State going back to back.
Yeah. And for me, this is my thing. We saw Jacoby and Morgan throw for 233 yards. And I know a lot of people, I want to say that the coaching staff, he threw at 70.71%, basically 71% in the championship game, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest was, of course, 67 yards, and he had 1 sack. But my thing with Jacoby and Morgan and that offensive line, and just everybody clicked. Everybody did their assignment, but it speaks to the disrespect that MEAC has. And if the MEAC continue to disrespect Jackson State or the SWAC as a whole, they're not going to be able to beat us, because I literally think they just was like, I don't understand how they got whooped that bad, right? Like, there was tape on Amari Matthews, Jacoby and Morgan, and some of these plays that we see, it's like these are the same plays. The play with, and I'm gonna let Oranges come back in, but the play with Isaiah Spencer, Coach TC pointed out that they've attempted that play 6 times, and 5 out of 6 times they've been successful. That
Let me say one thing
route
before you
with,
pass the arm. I'm sorry, I thought you had stopped him on. I apologize.
I just wanted to point out the route with number 16, John is Fortillion. That's the same play. And those are 2 plays that you see all the time. The play where Ashton Taylor, the linebacker, came up the middle, that's the same play against Alabama State. So you literally have film on all of these plays, and you were not prepared for it. Go ahead, Brother Bakari, and then Orangey.
I just want to say this when you mentioned disrespect, and I'm going to find an interview. I'm subscribed to this guy channel and can't remember the name of it, but he was showing South Carolina State post game interview, and what I didn't like about Berry, his arrogance would not allow him to give Jackson State any credit. It was just all what they didn't do. It was never his arrogance wouldn't allow him to say Jackson State. And I'm like, I just think, to me, I took it as disrespect. Other people might not, but every time he says something, it's like, yeah, but we had chances and we just didn't do this and we just didn't do that. Then I think, if I remember correctly, he went through, well, we had the time off and we started off a little slow, and it was always just what they didn't do. But Berry, as much as I respect him, as much as I think he is a good coach, I just remember him having those top teams in Division II, and when it come to the playoffs, he couldn't make a adjustment.
Orangey, did you want to add on to that before we move on to Norfolk State?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, look at the third down. South Carolina was 2 for 13, and Jackson State was 9 for 16. In order to beat Jackson State, you have to get them off the field in 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 8. And vice versa. For you to have a chance to beat Jackson State, you must complete your 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 8. You remember that blitz? I think it was 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 6 for South Carolina State, and number 30 from Jackson State came, and not only on a blitz, that play turned out to be, went from like a 3rd and 6 with the sack, it turned out to be like a 4th and 18. So what I'm getting at is, in order to compete with a team like Jackson State, you can run through a conference, putting up, I think they was averaging what, 345 yards a game, South Carolina State was.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to do that against certain opponents. I don't think that they've really studied Jackson State enough. That's just my opinion. I don't think they gave that coach all the other MEAC coaches went and said, hey, this is how we're going to beat Jackson State. I believe they put him out there on the island on his own, and he thought that he had the quarterback player of the year, and you see what happened. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Just ending my thoughts. I'm gonna mute you, Mike, Doc, because there's a little bit of blowback, and then I'm gonna unmute you in case you wanted to add anything. When I look at the totality of this team, how this team was built, and the choices that Coach TC did as far as the coaches that he chose, he was choosing some championship coaches. The defensive coordinator and offensive line coach from last year actually won their bowl game for South Alabama. So Coach J.O. and Coach Bradley, they decided to move on to South Alabama. South Alabama actually won their bowl game this year. The offensive line coach, Manny Ramirez, for years, Texas Southern has been the number one in rushing. And for him to be able to get that hire was amazing, and it speaks volumes. And you can see the development of that offensive line. I think a lot of people questioned the strength and conditioning of Jackson State versus ULM. And when we saw the Grambling game, we had questions. There's no question that this team was ready, right? And when we did an interview with Jeremiah Williams and Evan Henry, they said, we've been working on this since the summer. We've been doing what we needed to do for the summer. When they say built for December, they meant that. And as for the South Carolina State Bulldogs, the fans, the coaches, I definitely felt like their arrogance did kind of contribute to this loss. And I also think that the pundits and HBCU podcasters who are doubling down on this arrogance like it was a miracle or it was a one-off is going to probably hurt their program, because if you're not recruiting in those trenches, if you're not getting the skilled players and you just say it was a fluke, you're going to get beat again and again and again. Doc, do you have anything you want to say? I unmuted you, Doc.
What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, ooh, you sound so defeated. What's going on?
I'm not defeated. My voice is gone.
But we still talking about from Saturday, or just
yeah, we can ready to move on to Norfolk State, and we're getting ready to do a SWOT analysis. If you don't have anything to say about Jackson State, okay, go get me the lotion. All right. So this is coming up the news. There's been rumors circulating about it for quite some time. And basically there was also a rumor that Mike Vick would be going to Sacramento State in the last 24 to 48 hours. But it was officially announced that Mike Vick is going to Norfolk State. So congratulations to him. I wanted for us to do basically a SWOT analysis on Norfolk State, because like we said, there's been a push for some celebrity hires. And now that we have a celebrity hire, in Mike Vick, let's talk about it. What does this mean for Norfolk? Can they take South Carolina State year one? I see a lot of people saying no, but it's like Chance Berry came in and swept the MEAC, so why can't he? I'm gonna start with Brother Bakari, or and then move to Orange, and then I'll go to you, Doc. So, Brother Bakari, what do you think about this particular hire?
Michael Vick hire is, especially if he want to be there, because you're reading about Sacramento State, they were interested in him and wanted to hire him. So if he chose Norfolk State over Sacramento State, a school, as we like to say, with more resources and all that, they claim they got a $50 million in NIL, but it's over a certain amount of years. But that's if they go up to FBS. It's a great hire for it's a great hire for Norfolk State, and it's great for HBCU spaces, because as much as I'm a Jackson State homer, I want to see HBCUs get better. And this is something I learned just living. Uh, sometimes they come around and they want to take some people looking for you as a stepping stone, right? And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully people learned from us, learn from what Jackson State went through with Dion. If they're looking at you as a stepping stone, you use them for everything you can get. And they can't walk out that door with everything. You get everything you can from them. But I think I think it's a great hire for Norfolk State. It's going to be great for HBCU. Hopefully it's going to be good for the MEAC, and hopefully it's great for all of HBCU football. Uh, I would love to see him, build a team and meet us in the Celebration Bowl, and we put 60,000 in there. He bring his team back to Atlanta to the celebration. Somebody, I don't know if that's my mic or somebody else, but 60. He come back to his home where he first played at in Atlanta, and hopefully we the team that meeting him there, because I'm hoping he's that good in 2-3 years, and I could see 60,000 in there, and I could see 4 million eyes on the HBCU and on the game on TV. We had 2.1 this year, which I think is going to go up even more next year, and I just think they're great, and hopefully he is there because he want to be there. Like TC want to be at Jackson State. I see some people putting in the chat. I don't understand why black people is like be excited for, oh, they gonna come get him. TC want to be at Jackson State, right? Hopefully Mike Vick wants to be at Norfolk State. And that could be the case if he turned down a school that could possibly pay him more money, a school with more resources, a school that they say the Sacramento Kings is helping them out with a lot of things that they want and need. And he chose, and he's at Norfolk State. That's a good look. That's a good look. But learn from what Jackson State went through. We already, I was about to say Bethune-Cookman, but we already see he's not an Ed Reed because he ain't cussed nobody out on YouTube yet. but it's a good hire. I can see it doing good things, bringing more attention, and more HBCUs going to get more of these 3-star recruits, and every now and then a 4-star recruit. I can see that. I can, and it's good, and I'm happy for Norfolk State. My homeboy who graduated from Norfolk State ain't stopped talking yet. I get my
And it's Norfolk State, allegedly. That's how you pronounce it. Orange, what do you think about this Mike Vick hire?
All right, number one, in order for Norfolk, I say it right, Norfolk. In order for Norfolk to hire him and to beat out Sacramento State. Now, 2 days ago, when I first heard about this, I said Sacramento State is banking on him coming to us because we have X, Y, and Z, and they don't have X, Y, and Z. I think they waited too late to throw the kitchen sink at him because he didn't think that he would look at Norfolk State. Let me tell you about Norfolk State. Yes, under Odoms, they went 3-8. couple of times. But if you look at their 3-8 record, they were always 7 to 6 points away from victory in a lot of games. Not all of them, a lot of them. So that's not a bad team. It's a player or two that was missing there. This year when they played FAMU, you got to remember, FAMU only beat them by 2 points. And that was in the late fourth quarter. I think Norfolk tried to go for 2 or something like that. And they ended up messing up. So the team is not a bad team. Now, is he going to bring exposure? Yes. Is he going to bring in millions? Yes. I don't know who they sponsored by, but Michael Vick at the highlight of his at the heyday of his time, whether it was Nike or whoever he was with, he brings in those types of millions of dollars. I'm waiting to see him be able to coach. If Michael Vick can bring half of his talent into coaching, they got something. But in the same breath, just because you hired a celebrity coach, and Jackson State, y'all ought to know this better than anybody. Y'all went back-to-back in a Celebration Bowl and was out-coached. So that's what I'm waiting to see.
Doc, what you got for me?
Yeah. So I wouldn't consider Michael Vick a celebrity coach. I would just consider him an ex-NFL player who is going to be a head coach of a Division I college football team. That's what I would consider. Even though yes, he does have money, he does bring his name with it. I still would consider him just a man who's becoming taking over a Division I football team. Now, I will put Michael Vick in the realm of Eddie George, because it all depends on what type of staff that he has, what type of staff that he puts together. That's what I would see, because it all depends, where he called his cousin. His cousin is Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks played quarterback. Will he call his cousin to play, to come in and say, hey, can you coach the quarterbacks? It's all about, like you said, it's all about the connections of who he wants to put together as a coaching staff. And then two, the biggest thing with Norfolk State is, will the fans be behind him now? Because it seemed like the fans was not behind Dawson Odoms a lot. In fact, a lot of them wanted to get rid of him after the second year. But like I said, it all depends on what, like who he brings. And, the rumor about him going to, trying to get the Sacramento State job. Well, just found out that job got filled by Brandon Marion, who was the previous head coach over at UNLV. So, to me, I just think whatever he brings in, of course, like you say, bring in resources and stuff like that. But I just think, to me, it's about what what can he do as a coach? Can he be more of I would say a CEO type coach, and kind of learn on the job? Because in a sense, that's the same way Eddie George was. Like remember when Eddie George came to Tennessee State, he didn't seek them. Dr. Glover seeked him because she needed a coach. They needed a jolt in the arm. They needed somewhat of a spark. And of course, him being from the area, being in the area in Nashville for over 20 years, it was a no-brainer. Same thing with Michael Vick. Michael Vick he's from Newport News. He's from the Hampton Roads area. And it's a plethora of talent that's in that area right there, especially with his former high school, Warwick High School. He could go to Warwick, he could go to Phoebus, he could go to Oscar Smith, he could go to kind of any school within that area to try to recruit kids. The other thing I'm gonna look at too is the haters. And when I'm talking about the haters, We talking about the allegations that what he did. Okay, and I'm gonna say this right here: the man did his time. He was remorseful for what happened. He did his time. Let him be. You know what I'm saying? Let him be, because there's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna say, well, he don't need to be a coach. He need to be in jail. He served his time. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He's already been in jail.
Right.
So I excuse me, and I'm gonna let
Hmm.
you guys go back. I'm gonna ask you, we're gonna basically do a SWOT analysis. So we're gonna go through the strengths of the program, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats. I'm gonna read the official or a official article on Mike Vick being hired. This is from Michael Sauls. Of course, Michael Sauls covers all things Norfolk State. And it says a quarter century after quarterbacking Virginia Tech to the brink of a national title, Michael Vick is attempting to bring championship football to Norfolk State as the Spartans' fledgling head coach. Vick and NSU agreed to contract terms Tuesday, with an introductory press conference expected within a week. Vick confirmed in a Facebook post on Tuesday night he would be the Spartans' next head coach. He replaces Dawson Odoms, whom the Spartan dismissed last month after a 4-season run in which the program went 15 of 30. A Newport News native, just like Doc said, and a 4-time NFL Pro Bowler, Vick has never coached, which will make staff composition paramount. Vick has already reached out to potential assistant coaches and support staff, and some of his hires likely will be familiar to fans. Former Virginia Tech offensive lineman Dwight Vick, a Hampton native, and Michael Vick's cousin appeared to have nabbed a role in the program. Dwight congratulated his cousin, adding that he will be involved at Norfolk State. One report noted apprentice school associate head coach and offensive coordinator Elton Brown would be Vick's top assistant. Brown is a Hampton native who also played at UVA before spending time in the NFL with the Arizona Cardinals. Confirmed that report in a tweet Tuesday night. During his NFL career, Vick has played for two of the sport's most renowned coaches in Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin. In 4 seasons with Reid and Philadelphia Eagles, 2019 to 12, Vick twice established career highs for passing yardage. And as the Kansas City Chiefs head coach in 2017, Rick hired Vick as a training camp intern. Vick says, I think my heart is really into teaching the game of football. I feel like I've learned so much for so many coaches over the years. I don't want to bottle up a lot of knowledge, and I really can't relay the messages that I want to relay to a high school kid because you don't have to dumb it down, but you can't be as complex. I get that. So at the collegiate level or professional level, you can express ideas. You can go into detail. You can coach hard, and that's what I want to do. So I just named a couple of coaches that could possibly be added to his program. For me, I would, as Norfolk State, and I'm hoping that they kind of made this a thing, and that is making these staffs hire either a D2 coach or basically hire your successor to your program to be on that staff. Because we've seen how celebrity coaches go, and we've also seen how successful Coach TC was at, even though he had a hard time building it back up, meaning he had to recruit over 80 players in 2 years. Having some continuity from Mike Vick to the next coach is going to be paramount for the AD. Already having a succession plan in there so that particular takeover will be, it'll be easier. So K-Boy says Vick will be 38 minutes from his hometown. We're going to go ahead and start on the SWOT analysis. So I want everybody to, either name 2 strengths, or you can piggyback off of each other's strengths and elaborate on them. One obvious strength for Coach Mike Vick is that the MEAC conference is an easy conference to get into, meaning where they wanted him to go, Sacramento State. That's the Big Sky Conference. And the Big Sky Conference has, in terms of the type of football programs that are there, they have Montana State, Montana, Eastern Washington. Who else do they have? Idaho, UC Davis. So going into the Big Sky is a very hard, very competitive type of program. With a lot of these programs are built over decades. Like they've had decades of recruiting under the wraps, and that's why they always stay at the top of the conference. Whereas the MEAC, I feel like the MEAC is wide open. We just saw Chennisberry come in with his D2 players, the players that were already on South Carolina State's roster, and a couple of transfers, and sweep the MEAC. Excuse me. So for me, that's probably one of the biggest strengths is the MEAC is wide open. Who wants to take over? Excuse me, and go first in terms of the strengths of this program?
I can go. This is
Okay.
I think a strength. One of the strengths would be him being from that area and able to recruit. And can he get? Because I'm telling you, it's a plethora of talent come from that area. Can you reach someone like Plaxico Burris, who's from that area, to come and coach with your wide receivers? But the biggest strength is being from that area, the talent, and he will be able to recruit that area. I was listening. I can remember the other coaches that you say he reached out to, other than the guy you say played at Virginia, who would be his head assistant. But shit, in another strength, he's from there, and he's Mike Vick. in all honesty, that's gonna be that's the strength. That's the strength to that program now, and he will have time to learn. He will have time to learn, because they gave that guy Odom's. What he was there 4 years? Shit, man, that was horrible, man. That might have been some of the worst football I ever seen in my life. So he's at a school that will give him time. He's at a school that will give him time. And another strength is, I think he want to be there. And wanting to be there is a strength. Wanting to be somewhere. And wanting to be somewhere where you're from. That's a strength. And I believe he wants to be there, because I don't think he would if he didn't want to. At least I'm hoping he want to be there. And I yield to Mike.
My first strength, I think Michael Vick has, he will have the alumni, the booster club, and the fans behind him. If he can get along or get on the same page as athletic director and the president of Norfolk, then you got a match made in heaven. But right now, he has the support of alumni, students, and fans. I'm 100% sure of the players too. Now, I don't know if he's going to come there and clean house, or if he's going to sit there and say, after spring game, then I'm evaluate. But I think that's probably one of his best strengths, is he has support. The second thing I can say is Michael Vick is going to be a good recruiter. Just like Coach Prime had a lot of people that his age, they had children that are college age. Mike Vick is in that same situation. You have a lot of people that remember Michael Vick that played either with him, against him, or they're around the same age, and they would want their child to go there to be under him. So I think his recruiting is going to be pretty good. Not going to say it's going to start off automatically, because you still got to get up in there and convince people. Because, you know, it's always that in the back of your head now, since what happened at Jackson State, where you might only be here 2 years, or you might only be here for a year. Because we understand that once we have something, they always try to come get it. And I mean, they, as in PWI schools. And I see nothing wrong with it. It's competition. It's capitalism. I don't like it in certain instances, but those two strengths I have. Now, weaknesses, a weakness that I can see him having is if he does not surround himself with a good coaching staff. A lot of names, I've been hearing a lot of names, these people actually can coach. He's going to have to surround himself with a good coaching staff. You're not going to be able to do it all. You ain't going to be able to do offense, defense, special teams, line coach, secondary coach. You ain't going to be able to do it all. So there's one weakness I can see. If he does not surround himself with a good staff, he's going to be in trouble. And that's all I got.
Doc, did you already tell your strength? Let me unmute you.
What was
Oh,
that?
no. Did you already do your strengths?
It just depends on what he trying to do. As far as, I mean, he's a player's coach. I think he'll be a player's coach. Which one? No.
Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move on to, as part of the SWOT analysis, we're going to move on to weaknesses. And basically we're just going to point out some of the weaknesses. Before I move on to that, I will say this. Mike Vick on Twitter alone has 2.5 million followers. One of the things that Coach Prime had was I don't even think he had 2.5 million on Twitter. I mean, and I'm not saying, what I'm saying is, as far as the ability for Mike Vick to get the name, image, likeness, promotion, sponsorship, and whatever else out there, he has 2.5 million. He actually has more followers on Twitter than Coach Prime does. He has the Fox Sports Network. I'm sure that they will support him in his endeavors. While he might not necessarily have all of the type of sponsorships already en route, I'm sure that he could collectively find some, find somebody or some sponsorships for that program. I'm excited to see this just because Michael Vick has a different type of personality. I don't think he'll be like a Ed Reed type. You know what I'm saying? He knows what he's doing. I'm sure he's familiar with Norfolk State. And I feel like, just as Brother Bakari said, that he wants this job. They're saying Vick got Nike. This is big for Norfolk State. So now let's move on to the weaknesses. So one of the weaknesses that I see for Michael Vick, and it's something that's going to have to be worked on, is, of course, the fan base of Norfolk State, their attendance at games. Being that he's a hometown hero, and everybody around the area knows him, he might be able to change that around, but I just know that sometimes Norfolk State would struggle with their attendance. So for me, if I'm picking out a weakness, I would say attendance is one of them, and the second one is, of course, his coaching experience on the collegiate level. Whoever's next can go.
Yeah, that's what I would say. One of the weakness would be the inexperience at his inexperience at coaching. But like I said, he's at a school that would he gave Dawson Odom time, so he's at the other school that would give him time. The next weakness, which can be possibly turned to a strength, but we're talking about weakness, is I do believe just because of how this country is and his system is, he's gonna get some media backlash, something that Doc mentioned earlier. He did his time, let him live. I do believe I could possibly see some negative press coming coming Norfolk State's way. Especially if he actually turned down Sacramento State to be at Norfolk State. I could see some negative media, some negative press coming Norfolk State way. Those would be those are like two of the weaknesses in this that excuse me, two of two at least two weaknesses that I would see.
Okay.
ORG, what do you? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. We got to look at Norfolk. Since 1997, they've had only 2 winning seasons. And like I think it was 07, they went 8-3, and then like 2021, they was like 6-5. So one of his weaknesses to me is you've never coached on this type of level. You've taken over a program that knows how to get beat. But you are in, and MEAC fans, hear me out. You only got to win 4 MEAC games, and you win the championship. So it's a possibility that he might be able to sneak up in there and win 7-8 games his first season. But I think one of his weaknesses is going to be able to, how without any coaching experience on that type of level, it's how he's going to be able to turn that program around. We live in an air fryer society or microwave society, whatever one you want to call it. How long are you going to give him? And I understand, Coach Odom's, sheesh. But like I said, they was only a couple of points away from winning some games, but they haven't won in a while. So that's the only thing I can see. The weakness is you taking over a program that haven't won in a while, and trust me, you still have people with the Peter signs showing up wherever Mike Vick goes. Is that going to be a distraction? Yes. Is it going to be somebody going to use that against him when it comes to recruiting? Yes. This man went to jail for dog fight, even though this man served his time and everything else. But trust me on this one. And especially if he starts winning, they're going to throw everything at that man. And that's all I got on that one.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead to opportunities. Opportunity wise, this is redemption for Mike Vick. Another story in his journey, of course, since that incident that happened years ago. I feel like this is redemption. This is his ability to give back directly to his community. And it's also an opportunity to put Norfolk State on the map in sports. Like Orange pointed out, it's not been a good program for some years, but they've had some really, really, really talented kids on their team. Jalen Daniels is a very talented quarterback, and some of that is just X's and O's and maybe even coaching. And I feel like this is an opportunity to enter into this space and really put a message out. This is a program that he can turn around. I would be remiss to say that it would take a long time to turn the program around, seeing as Chinnisberry in his first year was able to win the MEAC. I really feel like it's open season for the MEAC this coming season. And I feel like if he gets those trenches together, the offensive line and defensive line, I feel like skill positions is going to be a no-brainer and easy out for him as far as getting skilled players. There's over 6,000 kids in the transfer portal. I think that he'll be able to develop a team as long as he has the right type of coaching staff. And like you also pointed out, Odom's got 4 years. I don't feel like they'll rush him any. But I think that we're talking about, depending on how good his recruiting is, we're talking about first season taking over and winning. And another opportunity, of course, is to help Norfolk State, which I'm sure they already have community effort and they have community presence. But I feel like Mike Vick being from that area, they'll be able to rejuvenate the community and make them excited about football and buying into the program, because this is something that Jackson State has in the state, not even just in the city of Jackson, but in the state of Mississippi. The rejuvenation for hometown hero, the rejuvenation for I'm going to stay at home and play for my people. I'm going to be in the state of Mississippi. Why not stay here and put on for Jackson State and be able to have all of my family come to all of my games? And Jerome picks out that even though that Norfolk State actually led the MEAC in attendance this year. So that means I will be incorrect to talk about their attendance in terms of, I don't know if do you know what the attendance was? Was it 11,000 or something like that? I feel like that they should be able to bust the seams open for the attendance. So this is a great opportunity. Orangey, did you already say your opportunities? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
My opportunity, what I'm thinking of, is not only through sponsors, but if their facilities, with his connections with Nike and other NFL teams and stuff like that, I think they have a great opportunity to upgrade their weight room, number one, the other training facilities that they need, from equipment to sleds to padding, all that stuff. This is the type of things you get when you have a coach like Michael Vick, or any coach that has that brings attention to your program. And strength, I'm talking all the way to the meal plan that these athletes use. So I think that, oh man, computer went.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, I thought okay, it said it wasn't responding. Oh, so, but I'm saying, I'm thinking that the opportunity that Norfolk State has for him being the head coach, I should say, it's going to be a little bit bigger than him if they know how to play it right. You got to be able to get out of these coaches what they trying to get up out of you. Now, I don't think Michael Vick is going to be 1 or 2 and done. So, but we shall see. But that's just my opportunity points.
Right. And then I did have somebody fact check that the attendance is 14,544. So I think it's probably best to kind of differentiate SWAC attendance from MEAC attendance, maybe when speaking on how many people come to the games. K-Boy says they got a 30,000 seat stadium, so I expect to see it filled up in years to come. So in the first year, he should be able to raise that attendance I would say he should be able to bring in at least 20,000. They did confirm that Norfolk State did just get a new locker room. So that is, of course, a recruiting tool. And Norfolk State has Norfolk State has the alums to donate the money, right? They have the ability to invest. They just needed a reason to invest their money, right? I think that that's important. Um, so they got a 30,000 seat stadium, which means they already have the stadium capacity. They have the updated locker rooms. I don't see no reason why they shouldn't be able to increase their brand. Does anybody in the chat know how Norfolk State's facilities are? I know that they did say that they have a 30,000 seat facility, which is good. And the location, right? The location is nice. The last thing that we want to talk about in the SWOT analysis is, of course, the threats. And basically, that's just looking at what types of things could stand in Norfolk's way to be successful in the MEAC. So one of the things that is probably the biggest threat is anybody else want to take that one first? Brother Bakari, do you want to take that one?
You say that the threat to Norfolk State program, just in the
Said that the
MEAC or
facilities
overall?
No, we're strictly focusing on Norfolk. So there has been talks and rumors that the MEAC is looking to have some other HBCUs join, but that's going to remain to be seen whether or not they actually do. I'm going to drop the link again, Orangey, whether or not they actually do come along, right, for the ride. They said that there's some other teams that could be joining soon. But we're just going to focus on Norfolk State in terms of threats. What type of threats do you see?
What type of threat do I see them being to the MEAC? I'm trying to make sure I understand the question of what type
No.
of threats
So
do I see.
when you do a SWOT analysis, you're looking specifically at the threats to the strengths of Norfolk State football program, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the last one are the threats. So what are some threats to the program that they have to mitigate for? So an example of that is coaching turnover, right? That he might not stay that long. That's an example of a threat to Norfolk State football program.
Okay, I got you. Like we said, the negative press from what he's been through. Having a bunch of Mike Vick fans and not Norfolk State fans. We see how that is. That can be a threat to the program because hypothetically he decided to leave in 2 years. I'm just saying hypothetically. I don't see it happening, but we're gonna go on a hypothetical. And let's say he has gone to a Celebration Bowl once in those 2 years, right? Didn't win because he lost to Jackson State, right? But let's say he went to the Celebration Bowl once, then he decides to leave. With the type of program that Norfolk State has historically is not a good football program, historically, right? If they're Mike Vick fans, any negative press they get could hurt the program. Because already the threat they're gonna have to fight off, as Orange G said, Peter. You're gonna have to fight them off. You're gonna have to fight off because you got the Old Dominion up the street in the James Madison, up the street, down the block, and around the corner. I could see a whole lot of negative press said about Mike Vick. So, so those players will continue to go to one of those PWIs. So
Right.
that's the threat. Then the threat of just like I said, the Mike Vick fans and not Norfolk State fans.
Right.
You want people to support you. You want the Mike Vick fans to come to the game, but if you are a Mike Vick fan, you're coming to the games, become a Norfolk State fan as well. Don't just be a fan of him and then want to crap on the school. So that could be a threat. So
Right.
that's my mhm. I didn't even hear you say opportunities. I ain't
I
saying about
think
the,
they
but
have
okay.
I want to say,
opportunities was the last one. Go ahead, or ORG.
I want to say one of the biggest threats is when a coach like that comes, it sends shockwaves around college football. We seen what happened with I really think I can use this. When Coach Sanders was at Jackson State, people laughed it off at first till he recruited Travis Hunter. Then the lies started coming out. Then the bad press started coming. Remember, Jackson State paid Travis Hunter $1 million. Then all of a sudden, it went from talking about Travis Hunter to about how horrible Jackson as the city is, how horrible the football team is, how this ain't that, how this is not that. I can see that coming again with Michael Vick. So the folks at Norfolk, if you think something ain't exposed in your city with that coach coming out, they about to expose everything. From the mayor to the to your water system. It don't matter. They coming. So I think that's one of the biggest threats is how will he handle it? 60 Minutes is gonna want to do an interview. ESPN, CBS Sports, NBC Sports, everybody wants to talk now. Now you're a head coach. And he happens to be at an HBCU, so it gets magnified 10 times more. So, and to you Michael Vick fans, especially you Michael Vick fans that do not watch black college football, sit your ass down and enjoy the ride. We do not need this another debacle like we had when Coach Sanders was at Jackson State. We had people that never watched black college football. They've been black their whole entire life and never watched a SWAC football game until Coach Sanders came there. Now, all of a sudden, you can try to tell the SWAC every damn thing to do. So y'all sit your ass down and enjoy the ride. I don't want to hear it about, oh, he need to go here or this should be done, this and that. You ain't never heard of Norfolk State in your damn life. Now, all of a sudden, you're the biggest fan in the world. That's all I got, bro.
I mean, they tried it with the Sacramento State BS. It's like Sacramento State. First of all, they're FCS, just like Jackson State. Secondly, where the hell y'all get $50 million from, and why y'all ain't been have this $50 million? And they tried to like put this out. It was weird, and it was like, first of all, they don't have the $50 million unless they're unless they go to FPS. It was like contingent. Secondly, it was $5 million a year for 10 years. It was contingent on whether or not they were going to be invited to the Pac-12 or one of the FBS conferences, which they have not. They've also been at the bottom of their conference for a long time. The Big Sky Conference is a conference that has some of the top FCS playoffs teams that literally go there every year and they win every year. So you would have to basically go against something that's already built versus as a novice coach entering into something where you can develop and take over in its first year. So and they were also saying that Sacramento State was talking about improving facilities just like Norfolk State. They tried to make it seem like Sacramento State was such the better choice, but when you look in terms of recruiting, the place that campus is a horrible place. Yes. I have to go because my son's supposed to be asleep and he is not asleep. The school just has to open up, give them free range. Let me see what this says. And let's also point out that Norfolk State does have a couple of athletic programs that do actually have great success. The school has to just open up, give them free range, and have a PR team on standby. NSU has been organizing and raising money for months. NSU's been in the top 10 FCS attendance 4 years with a losing team. So they have a great women's basketball team and a great men's basketball team. So they are invested in athletics. The AD or whomever has hired some great people on their in terms of basketball. So I feel like the support for football will be no different.
I just want to say this. Hey,
Donovan.
excuse me. I want to say this. K Boy 81, you said new fans are always welcome. Be careful what you wish for. I seen this when Coach Prime came into the SWAC. We got too many primates. We had too many. Just get your ass on somewhere. And like you say, they are welcome.
I don't think we have Vickettes. I don't think they have Vickettes like that. Like
I hope they don't.
Like Prime. If they are, they're like bots. I'm serious. Like I think the vitriol that Coach Prime had, like even the people that were talking today or the last 24 to 48 hours, those are literally bots or just people not wanting for HBCUs to elevate, right? Because the stuff that they were saying about Sacramento State was false. It was just complete, excuse my language, horseshit. That all of a sudden you guys have $50 million, but you haven't been having $50 million. Like, where's this money been at? You haven't even had, I think the last couple of years, they did have a winning program, but besides that, they do not have a program with a winning, like historically a winning program.
I mean,
can I say something right quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Orion.
No, I just wanted to say is the fans, a lot of those people, they will definitely hate on HBCUs, no matter, especially when you get a high value coach or high name coach like that. The hate, you can get ready. The hate is coming. For Norfolk fans,
but I just don't think it's gonna be. I feel like yes, the hate is coming, but I don't think it'll be at the hands of.
Nothing can get nothing.
It might even be primates, like you said.
I don't think it can be that bad. You got to remember, we had people coming into the SWAC and had no idea of Grambling being called a hole. Never heard of the Magic City Classic. Never heard of the State Fair Classic. But since Coach Sanders came, they thought they knew everything. Some of them, not some of them, a lot of them has gone. And thank goodness they gone. Good riddance. I don't want to see you back again. I don't want that to happen in Norfolk State. That's my bad for interrupting. Mute my mic.
Hey, you are absolutely correct. I'm gonna send you this thing, Arn. They were literally doing a live. These is black folks, a lot of them, literally doing a live on Twitter. The name of the live was defund. We should defund HBCUs. Tethers has taken over and they only produce coon. This is black people saying we should ask the government to defund HBCUs. These are the type of people that would be considered, in my opinion, DDRs. And I hope they ain't gonna be no like you said, no Vickettes, right? But I want to touch on something Aaron said before when he was talking about being exposed. Everybody know what happened in Jackson with the water. And you find black people laughing about systematic oppression and how the state allowed it to happen. We know why it happened. But you know something you haven't seen on the national news, and I'm going to talk about this when I do it on my channel, right? Why ain't nobody talking about how bad the water is in Athens, Georgia, and all those black people in that one area in Athens, Georgia, either dying or walking around with prostate cancer because of the water? Won't they do a 60 minutes on top? Because see, that's where the University of Georgia is. And it's not predominantly black. So that's one of the that's gonna be like some of the media that's aren't talking about. So that's some of the stuff that we are up against, even though it's not predominantly black. Those are the people that's suffering from that suffered for all these years from bad water in Athens, Georgia. I just saw when I say it ain't been everywhere, the reason I know, I just saw a special on it. On matter of fact, it was on 60 Minutes. Because the black people been complaining for so long and going to the media, they had to say something. But that is something. I could see parts of them just showing the worst part of Norfolk, like they did. I don't know. Like if you talk to people who don't know anything about, you'll think everybody in Mississippi still live in a shotgun shack. Everybody in Jackson live in a shotgun because that's what they wanted you to see. You show somebody faking he taking a bath in a swimming pool. That don't even sound right. But they did it for a reason. Just like Sacramento State all of a sudden came in the picture for a reason. When we get something,
Right.
they want it. When we get
Mhm.
something, the bigots want it. The bigots want to tear it down. And hopefully Mike Vick is not, hopefully Mike Vick is strong enough not to fall for that. And I'm like I said, I want to see
Um,
Norfolk State do good.
right. Mr. Ford,
Hey, how you doing?
good.
Can you
How are
hear me?
you?
All right, all right.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got the news today. I was very happy for Norfolk State and for Michael Vick. Um, Norfolk is a sleeping giant. I think that this can do a lot for the city of Norfolk and for Norfolk State. For a long time, they always said that Norfolk State was a basketball school. But if you go back and study them when they had Willard Bailey, they were a pretty good football program. Um, it's going to be interesting for the infrastructure there because before we get on Coach Vick, the president has to have a vision. The athletic director has to have a vision. The sports information people, they've got to know how to handle what's getting ready to come. And kudos to y'all. Y'all have done a good job in presenting what's getting ready to come down the line. But I personally believe that it could be a win-win for Norfolk, for the city of Norfolk, and for Norfolk State. Now, personally, the first thing I want Michael Vick to do is I'd like for him to sit down with people like Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin, and some of these other people who've been there, done that, and who have the vision, and they know how to run a successful athletic program at an HBCU. And the other thing is, and this is what I'm waiting to see is, who will he surround himself with? Iron sharpens iron. If you go get the wrong people, it won't last very long. But if you go get the people who've been there and done that and know what to do, I think this can be really big. Because as I stated, I don't know, I think I said it on your show before. My sister worked at Hampton. And when she took me over to Norfolk, I told her that Norfolk reminded me of Southern. And I think I told you this before. When I was saying that, what I was saying was that that Norfolk could win in every sport, including football. Now, they've had coach after coach after coach after coach who couldn't get it done. But it can be done. No doubt about it. It can be done. But I'm just hoping that he will be very successful. I was a gigantic fan of his when he was here in the city of Atlanta. At the time when he got here, I kind of had put the Falcons on the shelf. But like Ronald Acuna, he brought me back. And I'm hoping that he will be successful. If you have any questions for me, I'll take them.
Okay, so we talked about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of Norfolk State. With this particular hire, do you think that Michael Vick can compete season 1 for a shot at the Celebration Bowl, especially with how South Carolina State entered into the Chennis Berry entered in and took over? Do you think that Michael Vick has a chance to enter in and flip the program year 1?
See, one of the things, like I said earlier, does he have a Ashley Robinson type administrator, athletic director? Or they just saying we want Michael Vick, but they don't have a vision? To me, the key to
they have good basketball programs, the women and men's team.
They've always had. Listen, I can go back as far as I think his name was Charlie Christian, who was men's basketball when he had Raf Talley. We used to watch the CIAA tournament on BET. They've always had, infrastructure at that time that was really good. Now, the key to Chennis Berry was this. Chennis Berry put together an outstanding staff. Okay? That was first. Second of all, Chennis Berry brought some players from Benedict that were familiar with the way he was doing things. They knew his vision. They were already, had played under him for 2 years. Now, of course, he hadn't coached anywhere or he doesn't have a college. Yes, it can be done, but the key is the people that he will surround himself with. My number one thing is this. I want to know who's going to be the coordinators, who's going to be the position coaches. Are you going to build your program around high school players? Are you going to build your program around junior college players? Are you going to build your program around the transfer pool?
Right.
I was telling somebody today, I just got word. I don't know if you know, do you know the name of Rick Stockstill? You ever heard that name? Well, that's one of the key hires that Willie Simmons has now made at Florida International. We go way back with Rick Stockstill. Rick Stockstill was a quarterback at Florida State, played for Bobby Bowden in the late 70s, early 80s. His first job out of college was as offensive coordinator for Bethune-Cookman for Larry Little. Now, I'm saying all this to say this. Willie Simmons is surrounding himself with some top-notch people. Okay, he's already gone down there and evaluated that staff, and he kept what he thought were the best people there. He did keep some people from the previous staff. Now, he let some people go also, though. I don't want to pretend like he didn't let some people go. He did let some people go. But what I'm just trying to tell you is it's about who Michael Vick surrounds himself with.
So they have Elton Brown, NFL vet, is coming with Vick. His cousin is, let me get his name. He's also a Vick, and he said that he will be involved. People keep on talking about, he needs a quarterback. Norfolk State got a really good quarterback. He just needs some development, and that's Jalen Daniels. Jalen Daniels is 6'5", 220 pounds.
Yeah.
And mind you, there's some things that they need, which is an offensive lineman. I definitely feel like that if they get a good offensive line for Jalen Daniels, he's got a quarterback. Versus Florida A&M, he threw at 77.8%. Versus Howard, 71.4%. At Morgan State, 72.2%. Delaware State, 61.9%. At South Carolina State, they were able to really hold him down by a lot. But like I said, as far as he needs a quarterback, I feel like Jalen Daniels, with some development and a good offensive line, that they already have a possible quarterback on staff. K-Boy says Dr. Melanie Webb is the AD and she's an HBCU product. Dwight Vick he was an offensive line in the NFL. He's a great guy, big time guy working media for Virginia Tech. So he'll be helping. I really think that this is a great opportunity for Mike Vick. My only thing is, how long does he plan on staying, right? Because with success, that's when they start calling and trying to take you away. So I feel like as long as Norfolk State has a succession plan in place, that they'll be able to keep the momentum going.
When you talk about Jalen Daniels, the quarterback, if you look at that game between him and FAMU, you will realize he's not the problem. The problem that Norfolk had was in the offensive line and defensive line. So he's going to have to come in there and recruit that beef, and he's going to have to get an offensive and defensive line coach and get these guys into shape, number one, and get them to play as a unit. Norfolk should have won that game, but Odom's did Odom stuff at the end of the game. That's how they lost that game against FAMU. It wasn't the quarterback. Now, I didn't watch them too much after that game because I really only pay attention to the SWAC schools. So I think that I hope he don't get rid of the quarterback. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I covered him a little bit when I was doing Around the Block. I was covering him in the quarterback club. And I felt like Jalen Daniels was a stud at quarterback. And then he has the measurables. He just needed, like you said, those key pieces, the offensive line. What we say, Mr. Ford, about the trenches?
Well, yeah, that's where the game is won and lost.
Gotta be. Yeah, because, I mean, he was able to do just about what he wanted to do in the FAMU game. And that's when I knew FAMU was in trouble. I said, whoa. But like I said, Coach Odom, the year before, not this past season, the season before that, he lost games by 6 or 7 points. And I'm like, damn, they was only a touchdown away from, but Odom's is Odom's. So I don't believe that he has, I don't think he has this huge task of coming in, even though their record is horrible. But I don't think he has that task of like, I got to get 60 players from the portal. I got to recruit 60 good top-notch players. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing, but he has a nucleus there. It's time to develop and make them play. And if he don't,
I think it's interesting how folks are saying that he couldn't come in season one and be competitive with there's only 2 other schools, South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. South Carolina State, their starting quarterback is leaving, and a couple of key pieces on their offensive line and defensive line. And North Carolina Central, I'm not sure if Walker Harris is returning, but there's only those are the only 2 schools that you really have to get by, right? Delaware State is going to go under a rebuild, or they need an offensive coordinator. Norfolk State was already 4th overall, even though that they only won 4 games, they were still 4th overall in the conference. I don't feel like it's going to be a huge jump And they're saying Norfolk just lost their entire offensive line to the portal. We don't know who will come back after they announce that that Mike Vick is the head coach. We also don't know if they really wanted to keep anybody from the offensive line due to how bad some of the O-line play was last season. Mr. Ford, what do you think about that?
Yeah, like I said, we've got to see, is he interested in building the team around the high school kids coming in? Does he want to do, junior college, or does he want to do 40% or 60% the portal? We've got to see that. We don't know that yet. But it's like I said, the most important thing for me is the infrastructure and the people on that staff. Like I said, I'll tell anybody, the reason that Coach Chennisberry was successful was, first of all, there was an infrastructure there at South Carolina State. These people there was a blue blood program, okay? Then he put together an outstanding coaching staff. And so that's what I'm saying to you. I want to see the people that he's going to surround himself with. If I can see that, then I can talk more about, what I think and what could happen. But I've got to see the people. I got to see the staff. We got to see, the kind of kids he can bring in. Because like I was, some people were asking me about Belichick, and I told them the other day, Belichick will be playing for the national championship in 2 years. Y'all can take it or leave it. Because you're not talking about just an outstanding coach. You're talking about a pioneer.
NIL. $20 million in NIL.
Oh, yeah.
I said,
Listen,
he needs to be the championship in the first year for $20 million.
Listen, I always remember, when you're talking about Bill Belichick, you ain't talking about no outstanding coach. You're talking about a pioneer of the game of football. When football is over and they write down the names of the top coaches that ever coached football, Belichick name going on the list. Okay? Now, I ain't never been no New England Patriot fan, but I was a coach at one time. And one of the people that we had to study was Bill Belichick. So I'm going to say it again. Give him 2 years. He'll be playing for the national championship. Okay? And I'm going to tell you the same thing about Michael Vick. If he go out and get the right folks as his coordinators, his position coaches, and he put together a supreme staff, they'll be in Atlanta against Jackson next year. Yes, they will.
All right. Do you guys have any closing thoughts? Mr. Ford, you missed our whole breakdown. Orangey SWAC Sports, he broke down a couple of plays for Jackson State and how they were dominating. He talked about some matchups between South Carolina State's offensive line and Jackson State's defensive line, and then Jackson State's offensive line versus South Carolina State's defensive line. I know you had a lot to say on Saturday in terms of the dominance of Jackson State. Do you have anything that you wanted to add about that?
Yeah, basically, I just think that, and I know he's going to do it, Coach Chennisberry in the trenches, offensively and defensively, has got to get bigger and more athletic, okay? Those tackles have got to go to 6'5", 6'6", about 310, 320. Defensively wise, he's got to go 6'4", and average about 680 with players who can run. We're not just, I thought that he was too little all the way. I thought his offensive line was too small. I thought his defensive line was too small. Okay? But what I want you to understand, I've watched Coach Berry for many years. Okay? He gonna get the job done. Everything that happened to him Saturday, don't think he didn't learn from it. Okay? He learned, and he knows what he got to do. And he's gonna do it, because I know him.
They're saying that Jackson State's going to be running the SWAC and the MEAC for the foreseeable future.
Listen, we were talking about that today, and I totally agree. I've said it over and over. It is key that we bring a championship coach to Alabama A&M. It is key that we bring a championship coach to Prairie View. And if they don't do it, because like I told them before, I was talking to my Southern people today, and I told them I don't mean no disrespect. I like Terrence and everything, but Terrence staff ain't right. It's not a championship staff.
You said just the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's key. That they got to go get an offense coordinator.
Blue
This
said
thing
Prairie View
of,
Blue said Prairie View got their championship coach. They're just waiting on the announcement.
listen, if they get that guy there, yeah. Oh yeah.
What
if it's
guy?
a guy is that the guy from Valdosta State?
What is that? Is that are you dropping T? Can we get some allegedlys in the chat?
Tremaine, what's his name? Tremaine Jackson?
Can we get some allegedlys in the chat, please?
And not only get some allegedly, if Tremaine brings that Valdosta State staff to Prairie View, they better watch out.
I don't see no allegedlys. I done
Yeah,
asked about 5 times.
if they can get Tremaine and that staff, and then like I said, go get Sam Shade and bring him, because I don't understand what's the holdup in Huntsville, Normal, Alabama. I don't understand that.
Where did you
I don't
hear
understand.
that? Where did you hear that? That is Valdosta State's coach. Where did you hear that?
I mean, if you listen to the little podcast from the Prairie View people, that's what they talking about.
Your street committee report, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, it's street committee right now. But if you listen to the Prairie View people talking, that's who a lot of them are talking about, this Tremaine Jackson. And I've been following him. I saw them play, who did I see? I saw him play Miles. I saw them play Virginia Union, and I'm going to watch him this weekend. And I'm very impressed. But like I said, I hope it's Tremaine Jackson and his staff. That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm going to say this. They can bring in the staff. They can bring in these coaches. Until they get somebody to develop them SWAC quarterbacks, Jackson State by 40. All these players, all these coaches that, remember the SWAC had, 6 coaches last year turned over? Now, one of those coaches developed a quarterback. And if somebody in the chat can disagree with me, I will break it down and tell you. Southern had 3 quarterbacks. Not one of them was worth 1 quarterback. And no disrespect to them young men. Alabama State had to go to their 5th string quarterback. Yes, 2 of them was because of injury, but they had 2 other quarterbacks before that one. Prairie View, they don't have a quarterback. Texas Southern, Coach Dishman is doing a damn good job recruiting. He brought in some beef. He got those 2 JUCO transfer somewhere out of Illinois. They're like 6'4", and they all both of them are over 300 pounds. I know one 310. I think the other one's 320. But if they're not getting a quarterback and developing him, the SWAC is in some trouble. Jackson State is going to continually to run over them. You see the quarterback problems at Alcorn. So you explain to me, or anybody explain to me, where is the quarterbacks in the SWAC?
But the quarterbacks begin with your offensive coordinators. You got to have, my thing was offensive coordinator / quarterback coaches. And that has been one of the weakest coaching positions in the SWAC, has been the quarterback coaches. And that's what we got to begin with. And that's what I'm saying about Terrence. I like everything that Terrence did down at Southern, but he didn't bring in, or he didn't allow them to have a offensive coordinator / quarterback coach. That's the problem. We don't have it.
I agree with you, Mr. Ford. That's what I'm saying. You gotta do this, because it looked very, very suspect. Outside of the Jackson State quarterback and the quarterback at FAMU, those other 10 quarterbacks are probably about 20. Look at Gramblin's quarterback situation.
Oh, it was terrible.
See what I'm saying?
It was terrible.
I can just go down the list. It was some major malfunction at the quarterback position. Thank goodness Coach T.C. Taylor was an offensive coordinator, called his own plays. So, so that's that really in my opinion, really helped Jackson State along the way. But everybody else in the SWAC, look, Alabama A&M, they went to what Coach Maynard say. I really don't want to go with the quarterback that's hot, but I ain't got no choice. So hopefully, if this young man does come to Prairie View, hopefully he can develop a quarterback. Until then, we in some trouble because it's going to be Jackson State for quite a while.
Yeah.
Jackson State, to me, I think that's the next thing that Coach T.C. Taylor is really going to hit up on is getting him another, great 4-star quarterback.
We already have a 3-star quarterback, Ethan Terrell.
And you're going to get more.
I'm talking about more.
You'll get more.
He's freshman.
Yeah, but wherever your recruiting was last year, it will elevate with the fact that you were seen by the world in that bowl this last weekend. Your recruiting is going to go out the window.
Yes.
I mean, you're not going to be recruiting against the SWAC. You're going to be recruiting against Group of 5 schools. That's what Jackson's at now. Because you look very impressive this weekend.
Yeah, and we get to play it. I want to say we might be playing USM next season.
Oh, I thought
Brother Bakari did say that Southern freshman quarterback Tissette hit the portal.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow, that's man. But that right there, man. I mean,
when you're trying to build a program, it's hard when your younger guys leave. I can understand graduate transfer, meaning you graduate from the school and then you transfer to finish your last year of eligibility. But as far as like the younger kids, because that's what you want to build your program off of. You can't build your program when your younger kids are entering the portal after only being there for a year. So it'll be interesting to see if Jackson State is able, which I haven't seen that many so far, is to keep all of their young talent that they recruited, to keep them at bay and keep them at the school, because that's the building block of your school. And I think that's one thing that Coach TC did well, was the ability to get freshmen that are able to impact immediately by honing in on championship teams at the high school level. And so we'll see if he's able to hold on to all of that young talent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, then that's another thing that's coming. I mean, the NIL and right now, until Congress makes some type of law, it's the wild, wild west for NILs. You got players getting messages and they DMs, come here, I can guarantee you to get you this, from these agents and other coaches and other alumni and stuff, trying to steer these kids away. I think that's Jackson State's only problem. Can you keep them? Because the money is coming. And to me, it's not even about them going there to start. It's just so Jackson State don't have them. You got to understand, in the state of Mississippi, that was the first time a Mississippi school ever won a Celebration Bowl. Your SEC schools in Mississippi has never won the SEC championship game. It's jealousy and hate, especially when it comes to HBCU football in the Deep South. They don't mind if y'all down there playing each other in the band, jamming this and that. But when you start winning, ESPN did it's about a 6-minute clips of Irv Mulligan showing him running the ball, showing him, telling scouts, don't sleep on this young man. You don't think Southern Miss, Ole Miss, Mississippi State is looking at this like, wait a minute, hold on. We can't let Jackson outdo us. In my opinion, that's why they went to Marshall and hired that head coach. We can't have Jackson State taking this shine. Because what's it, January 17th, Jackson State is actually having a parade for the Celebration Bowl.
Right.
When the last time you seen Ole Miss or Southern Mississippi or Mississippi State have a parade for anything besides a Klan rally? But so.
Well, isn't that what happened with the Travis Hunter when Travis Hunter came to Jackson?
Yeah.
Didn't the football powers come together and say we got to get somebody out of
Jackson?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
what that Travis Hunter thing was about. Remember, they was burning jerseys down there in Tallahassee?
yep. And you got to remember, they sit there and went on national TV and lied.
Yeah.
Jackson
And,
State
and,
paid
and Nick Saban was the biggest liar.
the biggest lie of all.
He was the biggest liar of all. But the code word, I mean, the code words was basically that the Underground Railroad led to Jackson, Mississippi, and we got to do something about it.
Yeah. And see, and they thought that JSU program was gone. We ain't got to worry about them no more. The only thing we got to worry about is again. Now look what Coach C. Taylor came back and did. It opened up eyes again. And when I tell you it opened up eyes, I'm telling you, Southern Miss would have never hired that coach from Marshall if Jackson State was not having the success that they was having. Southern Miss was content with being, quote unquote, the third best team in Mississippi. But when Jackson State did what they did, and you have more people attending a Jackson State football game than you do at Southern Miss,
Oh yeah,
you can't have that one, man. But Timona, thank you for having me, sweetheart. I gotta go. I gotta get up in the morning. So thank you, and good talking to you, Mr. Ford.
yeah. Have a good evening here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Orangey, for coming on. Because Mr. Ford, I had lost my voice. My voice.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't do too much talking. I think Brother Bakari wants to add a little bit of commentary to that last little conversation that you guys had. Yes, Brother Bakari.
Yeah, because I got to get up at 4 in the morning, so I sure got to go to sleep. But when y'all started talking about NIL, I saw this interview, and I just had to pull it up. I ain't got the interview here. You do know big companies, starting with one of the owners of the Los Angeles Dodgers, they are trying to create a system where they can purchase 51% of college football or basketball teams.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And what Oren mentioned, that is something I said when he mentioned Southern Miss. It's not a coincidence that the guy, see, and this is the thing. See, I people don't like when I say this, but I don't pull for anything that's against me, right? I don't pull for my demise. That's why I tell people I don't watch no Power 4 football. The only reason I watch Group of 6 is because that's what HBCUs, that's what Jackson State is up against. That's what they're recruiting against. I'm not pulling for nothing that's got the nerve to tell me I don't want you to be, should no black school be a Division I, and I'm going to still support them. I don't care how many black kids go there. I'm not. But with that Southern Miss thing, that guy was there 4 years. And in 4 years, he won the conference twice at Marshall. He won the conference twice, 2022 and this year, both 10-win seasons. He was bowl eligible each of his 4 seasons there. And for some strange reason, Marshall would not extend his contract, would not give him another contract. And he ended up at Southern Miss. This is what I was telling Owen. Right up the street from Jackson State. It's not a good look for them when they see us supporting our own. It's not a good look when we can pass them. It don't make a difference what level it is. We are not supposed to be better. That's how they feel. And it's okay for them to feel that way. But that's how I feel about us. I ain't telling nobody what to do. But no SEC, no Big 10, no Big 12. And I was damn near addicted to football. I think last year and this year combined, if you talk about all the quarters that I watched, it may be a game and a half. That's combined. Because I say I'm going to turn them completely off. I'm not supporting anything that's want to hurt me. And that's what they want to do. They want to take from us, and we still figure out a way to support them. But how many of them do you see walking around saying, Jackson State is my team, Alabama State is my team, Morgan State is my team? They would laugh at the Celebration Bowl. Them white folks at the job where I work, I said, man, I watch FCS, I watch HBCU. I don't watch. I ask them about the Celebration Bowl. They laugh like, what is the Celebration Bowl? Are you going, no, I'm not watching no Peach Bowl or no whatever name of the bowl it is, and I don't care who is in it. We have the ability to change a lot of things. But if I was those people, I'm just gonna be honest, if I was white, I wouldn't change anything I do either. I can treat you like crap and you still support me. I can tell you to your face that you are supposed to be, you are beneath me. None of you deserve to be on my level. All of you, should nobody be above Division II. But we still support those people that have that mindset. Because they say they got some black players on the football and basketball team. But all them schools that got that, they getting rid of their DEI. What's gonna happen to those black students? And HBCU's been so underfunded. Will we be able to house them? But the people who do this to us are the same people that we support as a people. I ain't talking about as an individual, as a people. So if we won't change, truly won't change, we're gonna have to change how we do things and how we see ourselves. And I understand the HBCU people, we gonna stick together. And we should stick together. But as a whole, as a group of people, if we want to do better, we're gonna have to change some of the things that we're doing and some things that we support. Because they ain't kind of come and give us no NIL money. New Orleans Saints ain't trying to give nothing to Southern. Nothing. The Falcons ain't trying to give nothing. I heard Mr. Ford say the Morehouse want to go FCS. The Falcons, the Hawks, the Braves, they ain't giving nothing to Morehouse to make that transition smooth. Because they don't want no black school to catch up with Georgia State, especially here in Atlanta. Don't want you to catch up with Georgia Southern. They want Kennesaw State to be above you. That's why Kennesaw State went and hired a black head coach. FIU got the dude that used to coach FAMU, Willie Simmons, that's his name, to take away from FAMU. I hate to say it like this, but in order for us to be successful, those coaches have to fail. And that's just a fact. There's not one person that trumped the whole race. Southern Miss coach got to fail. Willie Simmons got to fail. If you want to see the SWAC to continue to prosper, they have to fail. That's just my take on it. Now I'm out, and thank you for letting me speak.
All right. I wanted to thank everybody for coming on tonight. It was a great live. Thank you, Mr. Ford, for coming on. The next time that we'll come on here is probably Saturday for SWAC Saturday, unless there is a Prairie View coaching hire. If I have my voice back, then the minute that they release the coaching hire for either Alabama A&M or Prairie View, then I'll do like I did last year around this and cover the coaching hire or the coaching rumors as breaking news. So other than that, I'll see you guys on Saturday. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Ford.
Thank you.
And y'all have a good night.
Come man, hey, write a check your ass in cash, man. That's all I can say.
Y'all hired some homegrown talent. I'm proud of Jackson State. Everybody give me a round of applause. Everybody just give me a round of applause. They hired some homegrown talent. And got a homegrown ass whooping. That's a homemade ass whooping. That ass whooping from scratch. Okay? That ass whooping went out the box. That ass whooping came from scratch. Them folks told you last year, I hope you put me on homecoming. Them folks told you what they gonna. See, it's one thing to sneak up on me. If you're gonna sneak up, I lost to Texas Southern last year homecoming, right? I didn't see that coming. They snuck up on me and they beat me. Them folks told you, if you put me on your homecoming next year, I hope you put me on your home. You dummies did it. You did it and got your ass whooped.
Hello, welcome back to Lessons with Kobe. Today, we will be learning the term belt to ass in sign language. First, we're going to break it down. Stay with me. Belt to ass. One more time. Belt to ass. Together now. Belt to ass. And that concludes my lesson. See you next season.
Y'all down that field. It wasn't y'all dancing after at the post game to get up there on that stage. Somebody ain't nothing we did. It's what they did. Well, who the hell was whooping y'all up and down that field? It wasn't y'all.
What you mean?
That's what y'all coach. Y'all coach said y'all lost because y'all didn't do stuff right.
We didn't.
Who was running in that end zone? Was that y'all or us?
Two things can be true.
No, that was a lie.
Two things can be true. That
Now,
fake point. That
the
fake
preacher,
point.
that preacher don't talk to God, and then he telling his truth now.
Listen, that fake
He
point.
needs to repent.
That was us. That fake point was us. That was stupid.
You tell Pastor Barry I need to see him. He needs to do some repenting.
All right. Don't do my coach like that.
I'm dancing after at the post game to get up the game. You never seen an offense like ours. We're from the MEAC. We're so dynamic. Y'all not used to our energy and our fastness. Come on, bro. Now we didn't see it twice.
Hey,
come on.
Whoa. You did not see it last year.
You got an ass whooping in the door and you got an ass whooping out the door. It ain't no more doors.
We was relying on the freshmen. You did not see that last year.
It's a front door and a back door. You came in the front door, you got your ass whooped, right? First game. Now you went out the back door with ass whooping. Now when you gonna quit coming to my house?
This is why, right?
And somebody whooped my ass on the front or the back door. I ain't coming back to that man's house no more. Hey, you never seen an offense like ours. We're from the MEAC. We're so dynamic. Y'all not used to our energy and our fastness. Come on, bro. Now we didn't see it twice. Against who?
All season he was tearing it up. He just couldn't do it against y'all.
Against who?
We don't get to this game. We don't get to this game without Eric Phoenix.
Bruh, I can tell if I go out there and play against elementary students.
Elementary?
I can tell that right now at 54. I can run through every elementary student, every elementary school in Atlanta. But when you get to the real deal, when it's time to come,
Georgia Southern,
all that hype talking and holding hands in that room, I saw y'all post game, pre-game. Everybody holding it. God is going to deliver us today. He delivered y'all right back to South Carolina.
That's how we supposed to be, though.
Bro,
we're supposed to be like that. That's the type of coach he is.
You can't lie to your congregation, man. You cannot lie to the congregation.